welcome back. Welcome back, everyone. Welcome back to each other's soulmate. We are back after a week break. I know we didn't announce it. Guess what? Life's busy.
It
Life is busy for the
happens.
both of us and for, I'm sure, a lot of you. We posted a lot of back to back. Our last episode was with Asia. So
Asia,
fun.
so much fun.
Loved it.
If you haven't
I know.
seen it,
And
check it
then
out.
you guys need to check that episode out. Like, she has such a great insight, being also like a super fan herself of the show. Super fun. Funny enough too, I put out her episode and like I've seen her around, like we've had shows together and stuff, and then I saw her like all the time after the episode too. So I was all like, hey, I was like, this is so fun. I was like, I get to be with you in real life too.
That sounds like a
But
blast.
yeah, we've been having a good time. I'm glad we got that episode out. A lot of her, fan like supporters too, like followed us and you know watched the
Thanks, guys.
episode and
Hi.
commented. Thank you guys so much. So I'm glad you guys enjoyed it. She is awesome. So thank you again to Asia. But yeah, we decided to take a break. We did a lot of back-to-back episodes and stuff. So thank you guys for being patient with the weird schedule. We both have ADHD. Fuck it. Welcome to life. A lot of changes, a lot of things too. Up and coming changes also. So bear with us in our schedule and posting. We hope to, we're just talking about it right now. We hope to have the season finale out the week before Christmas. And we want to do a live again, like we said, because it's super fun. We love the interactive nature of it. So that's what we're going to try and shoot for. So we'll see. Stick with us. Thank you guys so much again. But yes, again, we are each other's soulmates. We are a Sex in the City broadcast. We are two broads talking about our four favorite broads in New York City. We are on currently season 2, episode 13, which is titled Games People Play, right?
Yes,
Um,
games people play.
this is a fun one. This is an interesting one. Um, you guys will see. But yeah, we are on 13. The finale is 18, so we are 5 episodes away from ending season 2.
So
My
close,
goodness,
man.
so close, and it is going to be a zinger. So with that, let's get into season 2, episode 13, Games People Play.
Hell yeah. Well, yeah, no, so this episode is centered around the games we play in life and the games we play in relationships. So I'm gonna get into that. In this episode, we have Charlotte who says that you have to play games in order to make relationships work. Is that true? Do you think?
Hmm.
What do you think,
We'll
audience?
see.
We have Carrie who goes to therapy. And may I
Shocker.
just say, this is an episode I've been looking forward to. We'll
You've
just,
been so stoked for this one.
no, literally. I called her the other night at like midnight, like I'm so stoked, and started telling her why. I was doing the notes. But we have Miranda who gets a surprise visitor at night from her apartment window. So,
Okay.
yeah, and in New York City, it's kind of something. And then we have Samantha, who gets really into basketball for really good sex. So let's get into it.
That's this episode? Hell yeah.
Yeah. So as you may or may not remember from the last episode, Carrie and Mr. Big broke up for now the second time, right?
Yeah, this would make their
Yeah.
second breakup in 2 seasons.
Mm-hmm.
Which
And
sucks, but I mean obviously the volatile nature of their relationship isn't
it's this
shocking.
physical chemical thing, you know?
It's this physical chemical thing
That's what Carrie says like throughout the whole show.
to
Um,
justify it.
yeah, the back and forth, up and down of it. And in the opening of this episode, we have Carrie kind of talking about the positives of a breakup. You know, things like being able to catch up on your laundry, being able to catch up with your friends, see them some more, because, you know, all of that.
Yeah.
And then we see Carrie talking to her friends after the breakup. So we have this monologue that Carrie delivers in like one gigantic breath where she's talking so intensely and so much that none of her friends can even get a word in. And it's just this whole I feel sorry for him because if you think about it, I'm the best thing that ever happened to him, and he's gonna have to walk away from this relationship and stay him, and I'm gonna get to walk away from it and be me, and he doesn't even deserve me. And I want somebody who does deserve me and not some screwed up, insecure guy who can't deal with the woman who has her act together and then gestures to herself. And then,
I'm not
uh,
quite sure that was what happened, but okay.
yeah, but this is the version she's telling her friends,
No,
and
of course.
and she just ends it with, "I'm gonna end up deliriously happy, and he is gonna end up old and alone." And I pity him, I really do. And at the end of this gigantic monologue, which I summed up, that wasn't even all of it. That wasn't even half of it, honestly. But those were the major points.
Yeah,
She
it's
takes
taking up the whole slide.
It really does. I wrote it all down and then I was like, yeah, I don't want to say all of it. That's too much. It's like
Yeah,
an
it's just,
entire.
but it's a very real thing we do
It
in
is.
breakups, right?
Yeah.
You're gonna sit there with your friends and talk the bullshit, and you're gonna be
Yeah.
like,
And
you
that's
know,
reasonable and normal, right? To be
mhm,
upset after a breakup, to complain to your friends about it is reasonable.
mhm,
But when she finally shuts up and like they end the monologue, because the monologue looked like it was the span of like a couple of weeks, because like there was
mhm,
probably like 6 to 8 outfits shown in the model anyways.
right,
um and then, little side note, like all of the outfits that she wore in those little moments in the monologue were so cute, and then the outfit that this next scene is in is so just not cute. But we'll get into that. So, she finally shuts up, and her friends are all silent, and they look at each other and they just spit it out. You know, Sam says, "Honey, you're obsessed with talking about Big, and we can't take it anymore." So Charlotte comes in, it's out of our league. And Carrie just like, "What is this? An intervention?" Like, and Miranda says, "Yes. Stop her before she obsesses again." So Carrie comes in with the, "What is this? An intervention?" Like, she just like tries to play it off, but Miranda says, "Yes. Stop her before she obsesses again." And then Carrie like kind of says what we said, like, isn't breaking up like isn't complaining about your breakup part of the breakup? Like, you're supposed to have that ability to just complain about it with your friends. And they tell her like, yes, that is a part of breaking up, but we think
mhm.
you should see a therapist.
Yeah,
And
like
honest,
it's beyond their scope of practice at this point as friends.
it literally is. And Carrie's just like, why should I pay somebody when I have you? First of all, like, these are supposed to be your friends.
Because we're not trained professionals. Like,
Yeah.
of
And
course, friends are there during the. We're there. We're gonna give as much advice as possible. We're gonna be as supportive as possible. At the end of the day, if there's some real raw issues, like I'm not a therapist.
no, literally. And they tell her, like, you have 10 more minutes and then we're cutting you off. And
For
Carrie's just
good.
like, I don't need therapy. I need new friends. And I'm like, first of all, ew. Second of all, like, it's just so upsetting, honestly. Like, you shouldn't be talking to your friends like that.
I just sent. Hold on. Like 2 hours ago, I just sent her a meme on Instagram. Or I think I was going to, or did I? Yeah, or it was 3 hours ago. It says, sometimes you got to say what Carrie Bradshaw would do and then do the opposite.
Yep, honestly, because it's just messed up. Like, your friends are not your therapists. They can be there for you. Don't get me wrong, like, they can be there for you, but they're not your
Yeah.
therapist. Um,
Yeah.
they're,
And I
you
think
know,
certain friends can handle the conversation again and again and again, and certain ones can't, you know?
yeah,
Um,
yeah,
like you and I can probably talk about the same scenario for like 10 years,
we
but that's
do
just because that's
sometimes.
just, yeah, yeah. That's just because it's me and you know, or
Yeah,
like, certain close friends, but obviously
but
the girls can't, or they just are
yeah.
like, hey, I can't, I'm not capable of it, you know?
And there have been many times within our friendship where we were going through something that I couldn't fix that. You couldn't fix that. So we had to go seek professional help to fix that, you know? And
Oh,
obviously
yeah.
not like fix it, but you know, like get help with it in a
Yeah, because
professional
there's
way.
things, there's obviously
I'm
things
not
that,
equipped for everything.
mm-mm,
You know, I don't know what to say, and that's okay because I'm not trained. There are people who are trained,
exactly.
and
Yeah, and therapy
you
works
know,
wonders.
it really does. 10 out of 10 would recommend.
Mm-hmm.
And Samantha's just like, dude, we're as messed up as you are. It's like the blind leading the
The
blind.
blind leading the blind. It's pretty.
And it's pretty straightforward. It's like, I don't know what to tell you about this. Like, this is beyond what I can do. And Miranda comes in and says, you know, sometimes it helps to talk to somebody who's objective too, because if
Mhm.
I'm so upset about something, you're going to be upset about it because you care about me. And,
Yeah,
you
there's
know,
that
that's
bias.
gonna, yeah. But a therapist can come in and be like, well, actually, these are the facts. This is another way you should look at it.
Yeah, that's
And
why
then,
therapy I think is so beneficial because you come in with that unbiased opinion. And it's not
yes,
your best friend, you know? It's someone
no.
who's completely unaware of everything else kind of in your life unless they only get the context that you provide, right?
Hmm.
And that's why it works.
Yeah. And okay, this is one of the like I feel like more attention should be paid to this moment in this scene because I'm like, what? Mm. So Miranda says it's helpful to talk to somebody who's objective, and then Carrie hits her with, you know, I understand why you see a shrink because you know you're always in your head. We are here having a conversation because you're obsessing about your relationship because you're
That is
so like,
Yeah, it's like passing the fucking blame. It's she's always
yeah.
doing that. It's like, "Oh, me no, but you, yeah."
No, seriously. And it's just, honestly, that's a friendship red flag. If you have a friend who's treating
Seriously.
you like that, do some reevaluating. Like, love yourself, please. Like, you don't need that in your
Mhm.
life. But, you know, Charlotte comes in with my entire family believes that head problems can be solved through physical exercise. And
Yeah.
I'm not saying that's not partially true, because I will say on
Right.
the days that I do go to the gym, exercise, take a hike, whatever, um, I feel like I have a deeper sense of clarity in what I'm trying to do. But I'm not going to say it's like fixed, you know, like the problem's still
Endorphins
there.
endorphins make you happy. Happy people just don't shoot their husbands.
Exactly. And if you don't know where that's from, get educated.
It's one of the best movies ever.
Ever.
We love it.
And and then Carrie comes in with it's a slippery slope. She says therapy is a slippery slope. She
So what
says
self-actualization?
first you go a few times and then you begin starting your sentences with my shrink says,
There's nothing
and
wrong with that.
there really isn't, because if anything you're helping people at that point, you know.
You're helping yourself too. That's the crazy part.
And then she goes on to say that therapy is so self-indulgent. This is
Miss,
the
I
same
buy
woman who
Manolo
spent
Blahniks.
$40,000 on shoes.
we both had the same thought.
So
Oh.
self-indulgent. But also, this is why she has friends. She needs new friends because they won't listen to her. Anyways, right?
She's
And
so
then
exhausting sometimes. The reason why I'm not wearing any makeup is because of how exhausting Carrie is in this episode.
she really is.
She
Honestly.
exhausted me to the point of physical exhaustion to where I couldn't even put a beauty blender to my face.
No. Abuse.
Look, even the lighting got mad. The
I
lighting
was
got done
like,
too.
oh my gosh, she's getting beamed up.
Beam me up, Scotty.
um, and then she even goes on to say ancient man didn't need shrinks to survive.
They barely had brains.
Yeah, this
They
is what
didn't
she's
have the
comparing
brains.
it to. And Miranda's
They
like,
didn't have the
ancient
brains we
man,
have.
they only lived to 30.
Yeah.
You
And they
know?
literally didn't have the brains we did.
Yeah,
Or we
like,
do.
oh my gosh.
Fucking
And
ancient
then,
man didn't have fucking I was about to say they didn't have Tinder. I'm like, well, they didn't back then either, but you know what I mean.
Oh my gosh, I know what you mean. And Carrie starts kind of introspecting a little bit, thank God, and is like, were they right? Had I crossed the line from pleasantly neurotic into annoyingly troubled?
Yes.
And so
This
she
isn't
says,
actually the first time she's been kind of miserable with the shit she talks about.
it really isn't. So she says, I decided to seek my own professional help. So who is her version of that? Stanford. Now I love Stanford, but Stanford
Danny.
literally was like in love with the one person he represents in his like PR firm or whatever he does.
Oh,
Right?
yeah.
Or yeah, he's like an agent, right? And he's like in love with him. I'm like, I don't know if
Yeah.
that's anyways, we love Stanford. And he's just like in disbelief that Carrie doesn't already have a therapist. He's like, even the
Mhm.
therapists have therapists. Like, what are
No
you
shit.
doing? It's New York City. Like, come on,
Yeah.
dude. And Stanford's like, I have 3. And she's like, you do not. And he's like, I have one for when I want to be coddled, one for when I want tough love, and one for when I want to just stare at a beautiful man.
Interesting. That's a lot
Yeah,
of money. That's a
that
lot of
it.
money.
He comes from money. It's pretty obvious in the show. Like,
Yeah, that
Stanford
is
doesn't
true.
live that lifestyle, like, because of the money he makes.
My sessions without insurance are $90 a pop. So, and sometimes I go every 2 weeks. So I'm
Oh
like,
my gosh.
if I didn't have insurance, it's like almost like $200 a month in therapy. Like, and then to
No,
do that,
seriously.
what, all the fucking time? Like, no. Stanford, I wish I had that luxury to have multiple therapists.
Yeah. And I mean, there are resources to look into to
There
get there,
is.
but that aside, it's very hard to fund it. I'm very fortunate
Yeah.
that the company that I work for provides it as one of the benefits.
I have been seeing a trend though of companies valuing mental health a lot and
I think
making
it's like
sure
seen as preventative care.
making sure employees have an accessible way to therapy or mental health kind of like help. It's really funny because like one of the last places I was at had really terrible medical insurance, but they're like, you get free therapy. They're like, so we don't really give a shit about like what happens to you physically, but please don't off yourself in the time of working with us.
Yeah, seriously. Oh my God. Mm. But Carrie ends up getting recommended to Dr. Greenfield, or as they refer to her, Dr. G. And
Dr.
we find
G.
out she is hot, hot, hot. She's the celebrity therapist. So not only is Carrie seeing a therapist, she's seeing the therapist that celebrities go to.
That's so cool.
That really
That's
is.
how I would know I've made
And
it.
right? They say that Gwyneth Paltrow sees her.
Oh, wow.
And I know. And the
Now I want to watch Shallow Hal.
I
Yeah,
haven't
that's
seen
Gwyneth
that
Paltrow.
movie in forever.
Oh, you need to rewatch it. That's
I
such a that's like a
do.
classic to me. Like I
I have
fucking
seen it. That's one I have seen.
yeah.
I just haven't seen it in a
I
while.
love Shallow Hal. I fucking love that movie.
I love
I
Jack
need to
Black.
weld this better.
I love him. If you haven't seen Shallow Hal, please do. Okay, next scene we have Miranda, and she's at home playing games alone, or so she thought. So Miranda was doing a crossword puzzle on her couch, and if you can imagine the apartments in New York City, they're these gigantic buildings that have a shit ton of windows, and they all kind of sometimes they face each other. So she's in her couch, which is adjacent to her window, and as she's doing her little crossword, she kind of looks up and notices there's a man staring at her from her window. See, I would have gone to the kitchen and got a knife, but Miranda she gets up, she goes around the corner in the hallway, and then she kind of like peeks through to see, and she realizes, oh, he's kind of cute. And so she's just kind of like peeking out and seeing him, and she smiles a little bit. So she's still kind of like cautious, but is also kind of like, And
Yeah.
then a couple nights later, so I noticed this because like one of the things that they do in Sex and the City is they include little nuggets that go with the main theme of the episode. So in
Mm-hmm.
these scenes, in each one, Miranda's playing a game by herself. So in the first one, it's a crossword puzzle. In the second one, she's playing solitaire on her
Oh,
computer. Yeah, it's like little
there
fun
you go. I
details.
didn't even notice those little details.
Yeah,
I love when that happens.
me too. I'm like, I am appreciating that a lot. Um, but she grabs a glass of wine, and this time she like stays where she's at, holding her glass of wine and like waves at him. So she's
Mm-hmm.
not running away anymore. She's like staying there. And he's like smiling at her, and he like waves back at her. Like they're
Doing a little flirt.
flirt across the air
Mm-hmm.
shaft. And then the next scene, we have Carrie in therapy. You know, I've been waiting years for this. And just a little like side note, I really enjoy the room that they did for this scene. If you look at it, it's a circular room, and it's very cozy and small. It almost like
Yeah.
seems like you're in somebody's head, you know, like in the
I think they do that like on purpose. Like,
Oh yeah,
like there's so many like psychological studies of like making things more comfortable or like trying to engage in
cozy.
calmness and and all that stuff. So,
Yeah,
but
so
yeah, it
it's
does look
really
really cool.
cool.
It looks very modern.
It does. Well, modern for the 90s, but yeah.
Yeah.
Um, and the Dr. G asks her, "Why are you here?" You
Mhm.
know, which feels a fair question to start off in therapy. And Carrie says, "My friends can't handle me anymore. You're like very expensive foster care." And
God.
yeah, so the Dr. G is just like, what's bothering them? Very clearly skipping over the dig at her, because I feel like that's meant to like dig at the therapist, like, you're expensive. You know, she doesn't want to
Yeah.
be there and everything, so she's like making it known. And then Carrie's like, well, they tell me I talk about my ex too much, but that's normal,
Mhm.
right? After a breakup. And Dr. G says, I don't like the term normal. Because it's true. It's like
Yeah.
that's what's normal for you isn't the same thing that's normal for me, isn't the same thing that's normal for
Yeah.
mama. You
Yeah, there's
know?
no mama, you go to
Yeah.
therapy.
And
Do you know
if
I just side note, I just I just did a I did a it was comedy, but it was a dating show that will be actually put on a podcast that I will plug in a second. So I kind of we had to do a 3-minute set, and so I didn't want to do like my material I typically do, so I kind of had to like throw some things around, and I was like, okay, might as well talk about like me in a relationship in a self-deprecating manner. Why not, right? That's welcome to my comedy. So I was like, hey, I'm a like single cat mom, blah, blah, blah. And so I started making, I've never made jokes about mama. And like, I started going off and like,
you did not,
I incorporated mama into my joke. So I was like, my cat's 6 years old. She's had 7 stepdads. I was like, like, can you please be the 8th and final? Like I was saying shit like that. And I was like, dude, I was like, she's wearing a cone right now. I had to put her in therapy. I'm like, she keeps fucking scratching at herself. Like, get me a dad. I just made that up on the spot. And I was like, oh my God.
you leave my goddaughter alone.
I was like, my poor baby. But it was so funny. So like,
That is
oh,
really
poor
funny.
mama.
Poor baby. She didn't
Because
even
she's been
know.
scratching at herself. I'm pretty sure she has allergies right now, so she's been really scratching, like to the point of taking her fur off. So I had to put a donut on her, so she stopped, and so I incorporated that into my set apparently. And then this bitch decided to bite her donut, and it's inflatable, so she bit it, and it deflated. It deflated, and she can't wear it anymore, and now I have to get her another one.
Get her one made out of metal or something. Oh my gosh.
Dude, I don't even know what to do. She's like walking around. I don't even know what to do with this girl.
Sounds
That's
like
why
she
she's in
runs
my
the
set.
place.
Everyone says that too. They're like, oh, can you make a joke about me? And I'm always like, if you fuck up, Like,
Oh
I
my
tend to only make
gosh.
jokes when people have wronged me, and Mama wronged me. But yeah. Anyway, that was my
Mama.
side note because
Just a
of Mama
baby.
and Mama's in therapy because she wants a stepdad.
Mama. She
Poor
can be her
baby.
own. Man. Let's see. Because, yeah, what does normal mean?
There is no. I mean, well, we have like, in scientific terms and stuff, or like baseline. Like for me, when I hear normal, I think of baseline. Like that's like where my brain goes, and that is kind of a therapy term too. Actually, it's like, well, let's get you to baseline. Let's get you to like, feeling okay and like leveled.
Yeah, I could see that. But Carrie says, oh, of course you don't like the word normal. Then you wouldn't have any patience.
Well, no shit, but I mean, come on.
I just
So
feel like
she's also doing the deflecting thing that a lot of people do in therapy. I mean, me myself does it, where you make jokes about what's going on because you don't want to actually deal with things, so you're trying to just deflect with humor. A lot of people do that. And a lot of people do that to their therapist. So that's what
Mm.
she's doing.
So she ignores the dig at her again and says,
As a good therapist would.
yes, and says, so tell me about him, the ex. And you would think in this moment she would start unleashing it again, because it was like a weeks where she couldn't like shut up about it, and it was like
Mm-hmm.
compulsive, and it like her friends couldn't even get a word in. But instead of saying anything about Mr. Big, she says, I have to be honest, I don't believe in therapy. I'm more of a solve your own problems kind of gal. Since when?
Yeah. Good luck with that.
Like, and I love it because Dr. G just stares at her, just blinking, like,
Mm-hmm. How's that going for you?
mm-hmm. And Carrie's just like, he was playing all these games and I didn't know the rules. And Dr. G says, you were playing games. Like, she asks her. And Carrie says,
Mm-hmm.
no, he was. I was just along for the ride. I'm calling BS. You don't go home with a caterer when you're not playing games.
Yeah, I forgot about that.
Because you're not getting the reaction you want. You don't get wasted every time you need to have a mature conversation if you're not playing games.
You know what this episode is making me realize? How much therapy's healed me. Because
No, same. No, same.
because
Honestly.
looking back at the past couple months, I struggle with things, when it comes to dating and stuff. And Bella 7 years ago would be behaving a lot differently. But I do a lot of reflection before I act. And I feel like that has really helped because or writing, I got back into I'm like, okay, if I write about my feelings, and you know what I've been doing, like, just side note, I'm like, okay, I'll write them out. And then I start to realize, I'm like, I don't think I actually believe that. And then I go,
When you
no,
look at it, right?
I don't feel that way. Yeah. When it's on paper and I have to kind of revisit it rather than it kind of just steaming in my head like that. And then when I don't, when I don't write it out, I have the inclination to be more impulsive, to just do something. And
Yeah.
I've yet to do that with what I'm going through right now. And I'm really happy because I'm like, that impulsivity could like make or break something, and when it not needs to be. So kudos to therapy.
Hell yeah. Oh my gosh, no, seriously. And like, we all shit on Carrie, like, obviously, like,
Yeah.
but there's a reason the show was as big as it was, and it's because we've all been Carrie at some point.
Mm-hmm.
Some of us
as much
longer
as
than others.
Right.
But we can both acknowledge, like, I've been her. I was her for years.
I
And
feel like
sometimes I still am her,
yeah, I'm still sometimes
you know?
struggling with it a little bit.
And I'll own up to it. You'll own up to it. Like, and
Mm-hmm.
I think that's part of what makes like this, like, kind of fun. It's like we're like dogging on it, but it's like, no, these are things that we actually all kind of go through. And it's like kind of getting that better perspective because, like, she's like in here fighting her therapist when in reality, she really could be like understanding a better about what it is she's going through. But
I think the
she's
hard part of it too is what we realized, probably I think it was season 1, that this was her first real relationship as
in
an
her
adult
30s.
in her
Yeah.
30s. So I think that the reason why we get so frustrated with Carrie is because of her age, and we go like, "Oh God, how does a mid 30-year-old woman not stand up for yourself?" I'm like, "Well, she's never actually had to be put in that position before
Yeah.
because she casually dated in her 20s, and didn't really have anything serious. Now she's kind of seriously dating. That's when these problems start to pop up. Is like I've heard, and then I heard this the other day too. They're like, I wish like when I'm single, like I'm not like I do really well, but then the second I get in a relationship, like all of my shit starts to just fly out because you get insecure and you get vulnerable, and and it's like you could be a really solid person, but you introduce that variable, and now you're like, ugh, you like freak out.
Yeah, I
So
mean, it's like
that's
they say love is blinding, like
yeah,
and foggy, like you don't I don't feel like
it's
when you're like
hard.
in it, yeah, you really have to take a step back to really kind of gain that like objective perspective on it again, which
Yeah.
is exactly what they were saying. Like you need a therapist, you need somebody who's objective because her friends went with her through the whole ride. They already know everything. There's nothing she can tell them that she hasn't already told them, you know?
Right.
And but yeah, that's why it's good to see a therapist. Because like we said, you never know how you're going to react until you're in this situation.
Very, very true. Very true.
So, but so yes, Carrie says that she was not playing games. She was just along for the ride, which we're calling BS on.
Mm-hmm.
So Dr. G says, and what about you? Was this the first time you ever dated a man who couldn't give you what you wanted? Carrie laughs and is like, well, that's a little obvious, don't you think? And Dr. D just stares at her silently. And Carrie says, well, maybe I have dated men that were wrong for me, but who hasn't? And Dr. G says, the thing they have in common is you. She's like, what's your point?
Shots fired.
No, seriously. So Carrie's like, what's your point? She bucks up a little bit.
Yeah.
And Dr. G's just like, maybe you're picking the wrong men. And we cut off in the therapy session here.
Mm-hmm.
And we never see her in therapy again, unfortunately. And,
Yeah. I was like, wait, yes. But then I was like,
you
hold
only
on.
see her in the waiting room after this.
In the waiting room.
And
Yeah.
we'll get to
So
that later.
we'll get there.
But it's a real shame because I really feel like this could have been fleshed out a little bit more. And something that I often feel with Sex and the City is that they sometimes get to the edge of something and then don't go over the cliff with it. Like she goes to therapy, she's in the therapist's office, she's talking to the therapist, but she doesn't make a breakthrough.
So Carrie's been edging us this entire series.
Honestly, that's what it feels like. And it's just because, she's like, it's easy. That's a little easy, don't you think? That the therapist is like, is this the first time you dated a man who couldn't give you what you wanted? But like, how many times over the course of the two of their relationships, because they've broken up twice now, did we say the signs are all there? He's literally telling you how he feels. He did not want to introduce you to his mother. He did not want to take you out publicly. Like, he didn't want to do any of these things with you.
Yeah.
And that's what the therapist is asking her. Like, is this the first time you dated a man who couldn't give you what you wanted? Think about it. I'm done. Okay. So,
yeah.
so
Who's
No, really, because
You've been
like
fired up about this episode.
I really have been.
It's just
'Cause I
hard because you're like, well, you get frustrated when you meet people who are a constant kind of, when you're constantly complaining over the same thing over and over again, or this and that. And it's like, if you yourself aren't willing to be like, hey, let me at least get some other perspective,
literally.
maybe I don't have to be this. For me, this is how I feel, at least, like, maybe you don't have to be so miserable.
Thank you. Thank you. I think that's the root of it, really. Like, you're
I
doing
don't
the
think you,
same
I don't
thing
think,
over and over and over again.
yeah.
It doesn't have to be that way.
Right. Maybe you are the common denominator. Maybe there's something you could do to help alleviate, maybe it's not 100% your fault, but maybe there's things you can do to help alleviate that kind of feeling you're having because of it. You have to take some responsibility in your life, even though that's what did they say? Like that big term, like there's things that are out of your control that happen to you, but it is your responsibility to fix yourself after. No one else can swoop in and fix it for
It's
you.
like you can't control what happens to you. You control how you react.
How you react and what you do moving forward. And are you going to let this consume you, or are you going to let are you going to kind of like reevaluate and utilize what happened to you to push yourself forward? And that's really difficult, but especially with trauma. But I'm like, Carrie went through, it's a little traumatic, but I'm like, on the grand scale of things, that's not the most traumatic relationship. You were just with a guy who didn't like you. Imagine if Carrie was in an abusive relationship.
I mean, she is later in the show, but like, I don't think she went to therapy then either.
Oh God.
Which we'll get there.
We'll get there. Do I got commentary for that shit? Mm-hmm. Oh, I did. Okay, I just want to say this, so this can be a little like, they're gonna be like, I want to wait to hear that. Carrie dated this one fellow later on.
Who? Hot dog.
I dated someone that could have been twins, not physically, maybe a little, but to a T, like emotionally, I was like,
they really captured.
This is my relationship. I was like, whoa, it's crazy. And I was like watching the show while we were dating. Obviously, I've been watching it since I was a teenager, but we were just like, Christina and I would look at each other like,
no, yeah, there are definitely characters on this show that I've been like, yeah, like the first time I watched it years and years ago, I remember seeing Mr. Big and like getting to know his character for the very first time and was like, I feel attacked. I feel attacked right now. Like, this hurts. This feels a bit personal.
And the amount of people who say that, the amount of people who are like, oh, everyone has a Mr. Big, I'm like, oh. So they really did the character justice, like being able to have a relatable situation,
Exactly. I mean, I'm sure we've all tried to date somebody who didn't truly want us, but
moving on.
Moving on. I'm gonna stop hurting my own feelings.
Let's stop that.
Let me see, where are we? Okay, so we have the four broads walking together to a bar. They're gonna go have drinks together. They're looking all cute, especially Charlotte. She's got this cute little red dress on. I love her to death. Oh my gosh. And we have Carrie walking and talking and telling them about her session and how she picks the wrong men. And Samantha's just like, I could have told you that. And I really do feel like they got this like really crappy Cliff Notes version of what actually happened. Like, I don't think she actually, because I'm sure she got called out and that's why we didn't see it. Because Dr. G wasn't playing, and that's why I love Dr. G. I wish I had Dr. G. Well, no, I like my therapist. But Dr. G's a good one. And Carrie just says, she didn't get me at all. She thought I was a game player.
Bitch.
I think the problem is she got you more than you liked.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because some people don't like being self-aware.
No. Some people will literally kill people so that they don't have to become self-aware.
Yeah. So a lot of people love living in delusion.
No, seriously. Living in Delulu.
Delulu Station.
And Charlotte says that you have to be a game player. It's the only way to deal with men.
I hate
Which
that.
I wonder how true that was back in the 90s.
I
Because
get where
men have
she's
come a
coming
long way in
from.
a general
Yeah,
sense.
but
And
I
she
get
also,
where she's coming from because, like, it does happen. Like, the whole, like, some people are like, hey, if you do this, he usually does this. And, like, a lot of it's, like, reverse psychology, you know? A lot
yep,
of it's, like, kind of psychologically driven. I get it, but I'm like, I'm not in the game of that. I'm, like, authentically kind of like, I'm not gonna do something to invoke a reaction from you.
yeah,
You
yeah,
know, it's like, if you're upset because I did this, just in general, whatever, but I'm not gonna go and be like, you know, like, some people are like, oh, I'm gonna post this and, like, see if it makes him mad, you know, and, like, I'm like, theoretically, yeah, we can see what that's gonna elicit, you know, but then I'm like, now you're just telling him, oh, this was just for show to see how I'm gonna react. Like, what's that gonna do?
yeah, yeah. What's the
And
end
how do you
game?
develop trust that way too? Because at that point, you're like, dude, I'm just being played with these silly games also.
No,
So
seriously. Or like when
yeah,
people try to like pretend to be something they're not in order to get into the relationship, like those kind of games. It's just
yeah,
crazy, you
that
know?
too. Or trying to, like, fit the
The
mold,
mold of what they think that you want.
what they think you want. Yeah, yeah,
Don't do
life's too
that.
short for that shit. Yeah, don't do
It
that.
really is. But Charlotte says games are empowering. If you know what you're doing, you can control the situation.
But then you're not authentically living. You're not
Or in a,
authentically
you're
having
controlling the
the.
situation of falling in love.
Yeah, that's what she's getting at.
Yeah.
But I think that's
And
why later in the series her life works out the way it does. It's the
which,
universe proving her wrong.
yep, first time around. And Samantha says the only place you can control a man is in bed.
That's true. That's so, you know what? That's so true. That's so true. I've never seen a man more willing to do something than in bed.
I don't know. I feel like before they get into bed, they're even more willing.
No.
You know what I mean? Like
Mm-mm.
to get to that point.
Not for me.
No.
Well, for me, it's a guarantee and they can just feel it. No, but you know what I mean? Like the eagerness of a man, it's like they're like excited. It's like, because anytime you suggest something, it's like them getting a new toy. You know? They're like, uh-huh. There's no
Uh-huh.
we're
Oh my
doing this.
gosh. And then Samantha says, if we perpetually gave men blowjobs, we could run the world.
I agree.
And oh my God, like Carrie's literally like, well, at least our hands would be free to great dignitaries.
That's funny.
Like, Jesus. And you know, I always thought this part, okay, this scene is them walking to the bar. I love these scenes because in a lot of the scenes you can kind of tell like these are actual just like people that they're walking by. It's just this is actual New York City.
It's actual New York, yeah.
And at one like in this moment after she says that the conversation gets cut because a man walks in between all of them and like cuts them off. Granted, they're walking side by side, four women, you know, that's kind of a lot. And I don't know, this guy like cuts in between them and like bumps into them and then they apologize to him. I just thought that was kind of weird. I don't know. And then also in the background, there's this lady that like has always caught my eye. I don't know what it is. She's just like I like her look. She's got like medium brown skin and dark curly hair, and she's wearing this like pink velvet tank top, and like she's got like cute jeans and like cute shoes on. I always
Like
thought she was
My
really
Date with the
cool.
President's Daughter, pink velvet.
Yes. But in a tank top with like cute jeans and like boots.
That dress shaped my entire core.
It really did.
Like, for some reason, I don't know why, that dress, like, just that whole scene of like her in that little store, and then when the guy pulls out the ring that like shifts,
With
the eye, and that's one of my like, you know, like that's like something I love, but like I just something about that fucking movie I just like I'm obsessed with, and I go back to that dress a lot, and like, you know, I wear velvet now.
Oh, I feel you. The actor
Yeah.
that played the love interest was one of my childhood crushes. I was so in love with him.
Oh,
He was also
what's his name?
voice of
Eric?
Ron Stoppable. Well, the Eric was his name in Boy Meets World.
In Boy Meets World. Yeah, that's who it is.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So hot.
definitely not a bad looking fella for
Not
sure.
at all.
I
Not
love that
at
movie.
all.
I want to find it and watch it.
Well, I gave you Disney Plus, so.
It's on Disney Plus?
Yeah, it was a Disney movie.
Oh. I rarely watch anything new. You have to, and you're so cute too, because you gave me a list of stuff. You like add things for me to watch.
I did.
It takes a lot for me to sit and watch new stuff, especially now. It's so funny. I've been so lazy for like 3 years. And then now I decided to like do comedy and have a podcast and do all this crazy shit. And so like now I have no time I had all the time in the world to watch new shit and I didn't. And then now I'm like, God damn it, now I want to watch new stuff. And I never fucking do. But yeah, okay, good. Now it's on Disney Plus, and now I know. Disney Plus has so much shit now.
I really do. Man. But Charlotte says that even when you're in a relationship, you have to play games.
Bitch,
like, come on.
I'm so tired of Charlotte and her fucking games this episode, too.
No, seriously. Yeah, and it's funny because, like, she's the one who's the most into playing games, but she doesn't really have a storyline in this episode. She's a background character to the main scenes where they're all there.
Well, because we just watch her fucking put it into action the entire series.
Yeah, that's true. And Carrie says that playing games is what led to her and Big breaking up, which you're not totally wrong.
She's not wrong.
She's not totally wrong. I mean, I think the base of it was that he didn't truly want her in the way that they wanted each other at different levels. And
at different levels.
Yeah.
I do think if she wasn't as impulsive as she was, it could have been.
Yeah.
I think it could have been a little different. Maybe not all the way different, but I think it could have been a little different. Because you can tell Big's life is he has a very stressful job. And it's gonna sound terrible, but I'm like, I think he needs someone to like let him chill, you know. And Carrie's a little.
I hear what you're saying on that because, like, you know, I'm not gonna give too much away, but we end up kind of seeing Mr. Big in a different relationship at some point. You know, I won't give it away. And the woman that he ends up with is honestly like very reasonable and doesn't have big reactions and isn't impulsive and crazy and is very ladylike. I think is at the end of the day very classy. Yeah. And
a typical like a good like wife, you know, a good example of a wife, like a classic wife, you know what I mean, in that context of like
and
power
Mr.
structure.
Big is very much in the entire series. They always talk about he's traditional. He likes things traditional. He wants things traditional.
And Carrie's the exact opposite of traditional.
She is. So it's just incompatibility.
We start to touch on this. You will see soon.
And, you know, literally in Carrie saying that the reason her and Big broke up was because they were both playing games is literally her admitting that she lied to her therapist.
No shit.
Like, literally in the next scene.
Yeah.
And,
no shit.
You know, I feel like she doesn't like it when people acknowledge that she's playing games. You know?
Yeah, have some fucking accountability.
You know, that, you know? And, you know, Charlotte says maybe the game isn't really over. Maybe it's just halftime, you know, with her and Big, Carrie and Big. And Miranda says that kind of delusional thinking is why you should be in therapy too. Word for Miranda. I love it. And Carrie's like, I don't pick the wrong men. They pick me.
Let's just move on.
And Miranda's like, so what? You're like a fly strip for dysfunctional men? And Carrie's like, yeah, but one of those really pretty floral scented ones.
again,
she
let's
admits
move
it.
on.
Yeah.
If
Yeah.
we divulged into, I think what we're doing is responding to every single time Carrie says something. If we did that this episode's gonna last 5 hours.
That's true. Moving on. They arrive at the bar.
Yeah. Oh
So
God.
they arrive at the bar and they're happy and confused to see that there are so many men there. And they find out it's sports night. So it kind of looks like they're the only women there in this entire
Oh
bar,
yeah.
which is full. And they literally go on to say, like, sports night, every female's fantasy, a room full of captive heterosexual men all looking to be distracted during commercials. And I'm like, if I walked into that bar, I'd turn around and walk out. I would not stay. But that's
See,
just
I'd
me.
see that as I'd definitely see it as a playing field if that was the business I was in at the moment.
If you were like looking, yeah, that's
If
true.
I was
That's
looking,
true.
if I was
I'm
looking,
like,
I mean, so I used to be a lot more like that. Nowadays, like I
mm,
I don't go like really on the prowl anymore. Things,
yeah.
I would let things come to me. I'm not looking at all anymore. But
I just feel like
it's just
saying
kind of
every female's fantasy is a bit reaching.
not okay. It's not every female's fantasy, but Bella 5 years ago, yes.
And
Bella will be when she's like 6 drinks in, single as a fucking bee. Like single as a bee.
Pringle. I don't
Single as a
know.
Pringle. Bees have friends. Bees have families. Single as a bee. Single as
Bees have hives.
Bees has what's single? What's perpetually single? Bella. Single as a Bella.
Stop. I'm also trying to think of things that come in singles.
Cheese slices. Single as a craft.
Oh yeah, I was like, what? Oh yeah, that's true. Single as a craft cheese slice.
Single as a craft cheese slice. Yeah, no, I get it. You know what's weird? You know what's weird about this scene though? When do they ever walk into like a fucking dive bar? Why are they at a fucking dive bar?
No,
they
seriously.
never go to dive bars.
No. They're playing games.
No one ever talks about it either. They don't say like, Carrie usually has a commentary and we were in the mood to go to honky tonk, so we went here. Like there was none of that. They just show up at a fucking sports dive bar and they're like, here, they like, then they sit down and then they get beer just handed to them at the table because they're like, oh, women drink free.
Because they're trying to get women to go.
Right, but I'm just like, I would start drinking there all the time. What do you mean? I don't have to pay? I don't have to pay for beer? Holy.
That sounds like nice.
We need to find places that have more like ladies' nights. There's no like, no women get free alcohol from the bar.
I mean, I once went to a dab bar that the girls got free entry.
Oh, well, entry's different. I'm meaning like alcohol.
And I got a free dab too. I got a free dab. It was a Charlie Sheen.
Love that.
It was great. I had a great time.
Was it called Tiger Blood? It's called By Winning.
I don't remember.
By
It was
Winning.
Honestly some like weird cannabis church, like legal jujitsu that a bunch of stoners put together. It was honestly really fun.
Is there like a companion strain called Emilio Estevez?
I hope so.
I'm just making stupid jokes.
There was Gorilla Glue too.
Interesting. But yeah. Anyway, fuck it. The girls are drinking for free at the bar.
They are. And Samantha sets her eyes on a guy who's at the bar. So she takes off her jacket. And side note, she takes off her jacket and like throws it on the chair or bench that they're sitting on. It falls on the floor and no one picks it up.
You've mentioned that to me before we ever started the podcast.
Yeah.
I remember you saying that.
That's bad friend energy. Because I see Miranda see it go down.
It's the same thing of when your eyeliner is smudged and no one says anything.
I always tell you.
Or like your lipstick being smudged.
Or watching, you always tell your friends when their makeup is messed up. don't be
I don't
like
see how
that.
people can't. Yeah, I'm like, hey, you got a mark on you. Hey, there's a
Yeah,
smudge.
or
Hey,
something's in
like
your teeth. Like, you
something's in your
tell them.
teeth.
You
Yeah,
be a decent
bad.
human being and you tell them.
Yeah,
That's a red flag right there.
for sure.
But sorry, I have strong opinions about that. But yeah, no, Samantha sets her eyes on this guy, Don Siegler, and
Siegler.
he's like really into the game. And if you notice too, they're having a conversation sitting at the bar and they're flirting. He doesn't look at her once, like maybe like glances
Nah,
at her, but he's not looking at her. He's
he's
looking at the
looking at the
game.
TV. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. And Samantha's like getting turned on as he gets into it. He's like, come on, pass. And she's just like, ooh, like, I'm into this. Cause I feel that. Like when my husband's doing like construction or something, like putting something together, whatever, he gets all mad. I'm in the corner like,
You know what's funny?
hey.
Yeah. So like, well, not opposite but opposite, kind of. Like I've seen this sounds weird, but it's like I've seen men get turned on like when women cry, but then I'm just like, yeah, I know. But then I'm
Hey.
like, but then a guy gets angry and I'm like, something bad could have happened to him too, and I'm like looking
See, I
kind
don't
of
think
like you,
it's
little
like,
steamy.
it's not angry that gets me, it's the frustrated. I'm like, okay.
Because it's like, oh, you know what it is? It's probably that primal aspect of like, oh, I want him to take it out on me. Yeah, that's what it is. Let's be real. But that's what I'm saying. Like, it's like the same, but not, like, because
Yeah.
women who are sad and like whatever, like sometimes we need to be comforted, you know?
I can see
Me.
that. Yeah.
I'll
Yeah,
speak for
it's me.
myself.
I'm talking about myself.
I'm talking
No,
about myself.
I
But
feel that. I've
sometimes,
definitely been in
yeah.
that position. I just never thought about it like that. Like seeing a woman like that and being like, "Oh yeah." But I guess I could see it.
I've seen it
I've
in bad context. I've seen it like it's happened to me in like not so nice context, but then it's like it's also
yeah.
happened to me in like because there's sometimes where I'm sad, I'm crying, but then like like you get kissed by your
You
partner and
redirect
then
the energy.
you redirect it's redirection of the energy of the
Yeah.
emotion, and that's where I'm saying
Yes.
that they're kind of similar. So
Yeah. No, I could totally see that.
yeah.
But we like literally next scene, same night, we see Samantha and him make love. Like, and it's cute because they like do a clap like together.
Chingo.
Like, you know. Um,
I need to start high
but
fiving during sex.
it's great. Oh my
It's funny. I'll
gosh.
get back to you guys if that happens.
And you guys let us know if that's happened to you. Has anybody ever high-fived you?
I've done it before, like after, you're like, well,
Or have you
great.
ever had somebody say thank you afterwards? I have.
I feel like maybe I've definitely said thank you during sex.
Okay.
That's one of I like that. I like that a lot, actually.
The gratitude. But we see the next scene, and Carrie is on her laptop, and she's kind of like, she also kind of walks over to one of her shelves and looks at her board games that she owns. And she's just kind of thinking to herself, like, are the childhood games that we play just primers for the ones that we play as adults? Which is interesting, you know?
Mm-hmm.
You know, like how people say things like life is like a game of chess, you know? Like, is that, you know? Um, and she wonders, like, were relationships just like a big chess match, you know? Strategy moves, counter moves, all designed to keep your opponent off balance until you win.
Mm-hmm.
And is there such a thing as an honest relationship?
Mm-hmm. Well,
And
yeah.
she's wondering, is it true? Do you have to play games to make a relationship work? So we have another scene where we have interviews of people from around New York, and honestly, this is one of my favorites. I feel like in these scenes that we're about to talk about, they did a lot of really good, like, what's the word? Where the director like chooses a really cool like background for the character. What am I trying to say?
Like the cinematography of it.
Yes. The
Yeah.
cinematography in these scenes are really cool. We have a Wall Street looking guy who's standing in the corner of a building. So he's like in the middle of the shot, and the angles of the two walls are going behind him. It's really cool visually. And he tells us that he went on a date with a girl on Saturday night. They had a great time. So he didn't call her until Thursday because he didn't want to seem eager.
That's such a big like thing. The
You know?
whole, oh,
Don't
you gotta
call
wait
too
3
soon.
days. Don't
Yeah.
call too soon.
You
Don't text too
know?
soon. I think
Yep.
that's horseshit.
It really is,
I'm not
honestly.
in. I'm like,
No, if you're trying to do that, just lose my number altogether, please.
yeah. I'm like, no, like I'm gonna be. There's no such thing as being too. It's one thing if you're like, hey, I want you to meet my family tomorrow. Like, okay, hold on. It's like, but like that's different. But it's like, hey, I had a great time. I'd love to plan something again.
Yeah, no,
Perfect.
really.
That's great community. That's all we need to fucking hear. You
Literally.
know?
And then the next scene, we have a waspy looking woman who's standing in front of this like school building looking kind of area that also
Mm-hmm.
looks really cool. And she says, I went out with a guy on Saturday night and I thought we had a great time, but he didn't call me until Thursday.
Is it the same guy?
It's the same guy,
It's the
yeah.
same guy.
And
That's
that this is the
clever.
other side of that. And she's like, he didn't
Mm-hmm.
call me until Thursday. And so
Yeah.
that's like Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. That's nearly a week.
That's nearly a
Um,
week.
and she's just like, I screened his call and I didn't return it until Monday.
See, and then there's the whole thing too. It's like, oh, if he's not gonna do this, I'm not gonna do that kind of thing.
And what really sucks is that they went on a date and they had a great time.
Yeah, that's so you're like,
You
just
know?
come on.
And I
It's
mean,
yeah.
truthfully, too, there is something to be said about the way that you get along with somebody when you're in person. When in the beginning, I mean, like when you're in person versus when you're in communication. Like, I guess
Yeah.
nowadays it'd be like through texting and stuff. You could text in between.
And that's
Um,
hard too because so much
yeah.
gets lost in translation through text via phone call too. Because like I
Mm-hmm.
communicate better by speaking, and you can hear tone and stuff, over the
Mm-hmm.
phone. It's a little bit better, but you
No.
know.
And then the last scene in the interviews, we have a young blonde woman who's standing in front of a church, and she says, I gave my boyfriend an ultimatum: propose by Christmas or it's over. My girlfriend said that was a game, but I think it's just smart. Besides, if he doesn't come through, I can always secretly get pregnant.
Damn, she stole my plans for the holidays. Just kidding.
Dang.
That's fucking wild, dude. I mean, ultimatum, like they do say ultimatums are never a good thing, you
Oh
know?
my gosh. No, for real. God, dude, that's crazy. I actually had that happen to a guy that I dated. The girl did that to him that he like went and saw instead of me. She like did a fake pregnancy thing on him like that. And it was crazy. I
Mm-mm-mm.
didn't think that actually happened, and then I heard about it and was like,
That happens all the time.
that's crazy.
Women do that. Women have done that. Like that's pretty insane. I've never like seen that happen like in my like vicinity, but like
I've
it does.
seen a man cry about it for sure, that's for sure. I'm just
Yeah.
like, because that's traumatizing. Can you imagine?
Absolutely.
Oh my gosh.
Absolutely.
Oh my gosh. But next scene, we have Carrie in the waiting room of her second therapy session. So
Mhm.
Carrie's wearing jeans and a t-shirt. Her hair's just kind of like, there. And she mentions, it's her second scheduled session, and it's also her last scheduled session. Like she only made 2 therapy sessions like to start, you know? And she's just, she even says like, I've already read all the magazines in her lobby too. Like I don't even she asks herself internally, if you think about it, what was I really getting out of this anyways?
I mean, if you're not susceptible, nothing's gonna come of it.
No, it's really not. And she mentions that it's at 5 minutes until her last scheduled hour. So she says this was gonna be her last session. And a handsome young man walks out of the therapist's office, and they glance at each other and they kind of awkwardly say hi, and then he leaves.
Mm-hmm.
We skip over to Carrie's next appointment. She booked another appointment because she saw this guy in the waiting room, but this
The
time
fucking irony. Anyway.
no, really. No, really. And this time, her hair is done, like completely done. And she's wearing a beautiful dress. And she says that she even got there early to catch up on her reading. But she doesn't play games. Anyways, this time, the handsome young man introduces himself. And he says his name is Seth Robinson, and he's a photographer.
He said, "Hi, my name's Jon Bon Jovi," because that's who it is. If
No,
you
yeah,
guys,
actually,
it's Jon Bon Jovi. I love this episode because it's like, his cameo kind of thing. And I remember
it
telling you, I was
is.
like, yeah, it's Jon Bon Jovi. You're like,
I
what?
had no clue.
You didn't even know. Yeah.
None. And I realized like, oh, Jon Bon Jovi's actually kind of attractive.
Oh
Like,
yeah. People,
I
he
had
was
no
like,
clue.
I have, I'm pretty, like my ex's mom loves Jon Bon Jovi. Loves,
Nice.
loves,
Shout
loves.
out.
And so shout out to her if she's listening, she knows. But
We love you.
yeah, like super into that whole, his whole shtick and stuff. Recently too, if you didn't know, Millie Bobby Brown just married Jon Bon Jovi's son.
Good for her.
Mm-hmm. They had a
Get
beautiful
as
wedding.
far away from Drake as you can, girl.
Bitch. That was
My bad.
great. Perfect timing.
Yeah, no, he says he doesn't want to play the coy game with her anymore and wants to just introduce himself. And he asks her out. And yeah, she says that, they chat for a bit, like a little bit, and he asks her out and she accepts. And she even acknowledges that it's probably unethical, but there's just something about him.
Girl,
come on. So next scene,
well,
we
technically,
have.
you're not supposed to go to the same therapist if you're like together.
Oh, I learned that the hard way.
Yeah, you learned that. You're like, oh, because you guys were gonna go to therapy, and I'm like, yeah, no, you guys can't see the same therapist. It's unethical on their part because they can sway, the way they guide you because they know your partner.
Yeah. Well, yeah, because anyways, yeah, I definitely learned that the hard way. Samantha and Carrie are at Carrie's apartment watching a basketball game. And Carrie's telling Samantha what happened while watching. Well, Samantha's really into the basketball game. And Carrie's just like, what if this guy's like crazy? Because she met him at the therapist's office. And it's like, girl, you're literally seeing the same therapist.
And like this is a therapy session. This isn't a psychiatric facility.
Seriously. Which
not yet.
She ends up going to at some point. We'll get there.
We'll get there.
And Samantha's just like, girl, it's the crazy ones that have the good pills.
I love Samantha.
I love her too so much. And Samantha cuts Carrie off by screaming at the TV. You know how like some people when they get really into sports and they like start screaming at the TV?
Some people. We live in Texas.
That's true.
We have Cowboys fans.
Girl, Spurs fans.
Spurs fans. Well,
maybe Spurs when the big three were still around.
Oh no, still. But
still?
Yeah, absolutely. Undevoted, loyal. But
true.
Yeah, no, I mean we've seen examples of men like breaking TVs because of sports games.
Yeah.
Like, yeah,
oh my gosh.
We know the loyalty men have for their fucking teams,
and
or
now we
people.
See Samantha having that loyalty, and she's like, "Go, Marcus, go!" And Carrie's like, "Who is Marcus?" And Samantha starts listing off basketball players by like first and last name. Like he needs to make it because he hasn't been doing well because of this. And Carrie's just like, when did we start caring about basketball?
Can we talk about the level of like devotion and like intention of learning and knowing all that for good sex?
Mm-hmm.
Samantha, that is crazy.
No, for real. And Carrie's even like, why are you? Oh, because I'm sorry. Samantha literally says that if they don't win, I don't get it.
Yeah,
Like, I don't
the
get it
Knicks
in.
have to win
So,
for Samantha to have sex with
yes.
this guy
And
at
with
least.
this guy that she's seeing. And Carrie's just like, why are you staying then? And Samantha's like, well, from what I can remember, it was really good.
She said the sex is unbelievable.
Oh, that's true. Yeah.
That's
From
why.
what she can
Because it's like,
remember.
because think about it. Samantha can go out and get whoever she wants, you know? So it's like, why take so much time to like learn an entire sport and players and stats, you know? But to be fair, I would. I would. If the sex was that good, I would learn fucking the
French.
rules of rugby,
Oh my
fucking
gosh.
water polo, I don't know,
Whatever,
chess,
man.
whatever, dude.
That's impressive.
Yeah.
But the game ends and the Knicks win, so Samantha goes to Don's to go collect, which we love. And then the next scene, we see Miranda sees her visitor a third time. So this time he's in a towel and she's in a kimono top kind of thing. Is that what that's called?
Yeah, it's like a kimono robe.
Yeah, where it has the like high neckline and stuff and like the
Oh, yeah.
buttons.
Yeah, it's that one. Yeah.
Is that what that's called? Okay,
It's not a
please forgive me.
kimono.
Okay.
I don't know the word for it, but it's like a traditional Chinese like dress. Like tradition,
Yeah.
you know. I don't know the name.
High neckline.
High neckline, the pretty buttons, the satin,
Yes.
the intrinsic detail. We don't know the official name, but if you know, tell us. But yeah, that
Please.
beautiful shape. And that was very popular in the 90s and early 2000s.
It was. And that's what she's wearing. And he's in a towel and he's just kind of like, and is like, turn around. I want to see you. And so she turns around.
Remember,
for
this
him.
is like this is two separate apartments. This isn't just a guy in the street.
Yes.
Just
he's in his
FYI.
apartment and she's in her apartment, but because windows they can see each other.
Yeah.
And okay, and I just kind of like want to ask people out there, would you ever flirt back with somebody in your window like this?
Yeah.
Like, this is kind of freaky to me.
I loved being naked neighbor. I was always naked neighbor.
Oh my
in my part. I
gosh.
don't give a fuck. I don't give a fuck. I'm way up there. I'm always the top building. I'm always the top floor. Dude, I'm not gonna stop my life in the event that someone's walking in the parking lot. Dude, if I'm rushing to get ready, I get ready naked. I don't got time to mess with your shit. I don't got time to close the blinds. You're just gonna have to deal with it. I apologize for the view, but yeah, it's too bad. So sad.
So Miranda says that her playmate, is now how they're referring to this guy, decided that it was time to move past peekaboo and just saying hi, and maybe it's now to start time playing doctor. So Miranda flashes him a boob. One boob.
Just one.
Just singular.
Just one.
And he flashes her in his towel in return.
Interesting.
I know. And he just shakes his head and clicks his tongue. But if you notice in the scene, he doesn't really smile. He's just kind of like, you know, which I thought was kind of off, you know, but we'll see. And next scene, we have Carrie's date with Seth, the photographer. And they have great chemistry together. Honestly, it's like the stuff you want for a first date. Like, they are laughing a lot and having really playful banter. They start talking about the plant that's in the therapist's office. And Carrie's just like she moves it around every time I go. And honestly, it needs to be watered. And he's like, it's fake. And she's like, what? How do you know that? He's like, I touched it. She's like, you touched Dr. G's plant? Like, they're just like messing around and stuff. And it's really cute.
Yeah.
And he says, I have been going to her for over a year and I got bored. But then I met you. And she says, "That's sweet." And he says, "It's true." And she thinks to herself, like, if, you know, like, I feel like I can talk to him about anything. And in the spirit of psychological health and not playing games anymore, I'm going to be honest. So she says, "I like you." He says, "I like you too." It's pretty forward for a first date.
Pretty forward for a first day. I was thinking the same thing.
Yeah. And we pan over next scene to Miranda at the grocery store. And she runs into the guy from the air shaft while she's shopping. Can you imagine? Oh my gosh.
Oh my
My
God.
heart would be like,
I know.
so she sees him and she starts kind of playing hide and go seek a little bit. She's like hiding and stuff, but then she's like, I'm gonna be an adult and I'm gonna go talk to him. So she just confronts the situation and introduces herself, and he's very confused. He's like just kind of like, and she starts explaining like, I'm, the girl and like from across the air shaft, and he just goes, "Oh, you're the girl that lives above the guy I've been cruising." So the reality of the situation was that this guy was doing all of these things with her upstairs neighbor, not her. So when she flashed him the boob and he just kind of made a face, it was because a random lady just showed him her boob.
Dude, how embarrassing.
She literally she looks at him in horror, realizing she was like playing by herself, and just dips. Like,
But she didn't know. You know, you're just kind of like, oops, miscommunication. Sorry.
Okay. Not everybody's as cool as you on that one. And I get it, because it's like, if you're not used to being like, because like Miranda very often in the show is not very sexually like forward in the show.
Yeah.
She's not very in control of her sexuality. And I can imagine, as somebody who's not typically like that, having been like that and then realize that it was not reciprocated.
But like, girl, it was across the way. He barely probably even saw what your nipples look like.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. But I don't even think she ever told the other girls. Like,
she doesn't. Dude, that's funny.
She's just like, never happened.
There's some things you take to the grave.
Yeah. Something.
There's quite a few things I've been through that I haven't told you. I'm just kidding. I think I've told you literally everything that's ever happened to me.
I told you everything I can think of.
Yeah.
Like, if
at least
I
that's
haven't
embarrassing.
told you, it's just because I don't remember.
Like fucking me falling. I've been falling a lot lately, which is so embarrassing to me. I'm like so hyper conscious of like not doing something stupid. And lately, I feel like the reason why I've been falling is because like my brain's been able to turn off a little and like relax. And so now I'm just like, la-di-da-di-dop.
I feel that.
I'm just like, oh, I don't have to think as much anymore. I don't have to pretend to be an image. I don't have to be perceived as such. I just get to be myself and stupid and apparently clumsy. I'm like fucking Fergie over here. God.
What?
No, the song.
Oh, I was thinking of her doing
not the fucking cartwheels. Oh, if I could do cartwheels, I would be doing them right now.
No. Sorry. She went down. They did not appreciate the art that was Fergie.
I know.
Next scene, we have Samantha and Dawn celebrating the end of basketball season. So not only did the Knicks win the final game, not only does the Knicks win, it's the final game. They won. Like, that should be the champion.
You mean the championships?
Yes. Probably.
Oh, yes. Yeah, they do. Because then he says, okay, yes. So, okay, what happens in basketball, there's an Eastern Conference and a Western Conference. And then that happens. And then then they face each other. for like the championships. So yes, that's what happens, because I forget he then says like, oh yeah, we're done, blah blah blah, and then what happens?
She tries to kiss him, and he says, "In a minute, baby. The Mets are playing Chicago. Now that basketball is over, I can give them my full attention. And they've been playing lousy this year."
Exactly. So now we've ended basketball season, all to just get caught up
In a
in the
different
Mets,
sport.
into
Yeah.
baseball.
Is that what that is? Okay.
Yes. Yes.
I don't know. And the idea of lasting through another sexless season was too much for Samantha. So she forfeited the game and she left.
She left.
And he did not try to stop her. He just stared at the screen.
He's watching the Mets.
Yeah, he never even turned to watch her leave or anything. He did not give a single crap.
Men and their sports. I just
And
recently
their
saw that
games.
the other day. We were hanging out for a friend's birthday, and my friend had his phone with the game on. We're all just like, buddy, what you doing? But to be fair, they're doing like fantasy football, so like they're trying to like, you know, keep track with what's going on and stuff. So I get it. It's just funny watching it in person, you know.
Yeah. It's like that guy at our prom who played, was it World of Warcraft during prom?
Ooh, I didn't know this. What?
Yeah, you don't remember
Someone
that?
played WoW at prom?
If it wasn't that game, it was a different computer game. But
I'm pretty
somebody
sure it was World of
posted
Warcraft.
up in our prom with the
like they brought a laptop.
Yes,
they brought a laptop and played.
Yes.
Who was it? Give me initials.
I don't remember the name.
You don't remember? Fuck.
I just remember that it happened. I don't even remember who it was. I just remember that happened because I remember it going a little bit viral afterwards.
I don't remember a lick of that, but I did drink at prom.
Nice.
That's what I did at prom. Like a fucking...
I danced with a teddy bear.
The teddy bear! I have a video of it!
Mm-hmm.
I found a video of it.
I danced with that bear. I want to find it. That bear got handsy.
I know. I want to fucking... I wish I found out what happened to it. Like, who has it, you know? Yeah, the bear.
Oh, I know.
I want to see it. What happened?
Well, he went home with the person who took him there.
Who had... well, so I was like, I want to know who has them. I want to check up on them.
Please let us know. How is this bear doing? It is in our yearbook, and it showed up in a... I think it had a tux on and everything, too. And it crowd surfed.
No, it just...
No, it was just like a bow tie, right?
I'm looking.
Oh.
I'm looking at the video. Dude, we were going crazy.
We went off.
We're going off. Oh, here it is. Anyway, oops. We can continue on. I'm just trying to find the bear.
Carrie comes home from the date with Seth, and okay, I want this outfit that she has on for this date to be remembered in infamy for any time she slut shames another person on this show. I just want it remembered. She's in, and granted, it's a cute outfit. It's really, really cute. It's a dark blue halter top that is just kind of like a micro crop. It just only covers her breast, none of her stomach. And then she's wearing it with tiny yellow shorts. And she has this like clutch that's green with flowers that have bright colors on it too. And dark blue heels. And she looks great. She does. And they decide to play Twister, which I think her outfit was like themed from Twister, the game, where you like red, like left hand red.
To play Twister.
You should.
I haven't played Twister in so long.
You should. And that's what they end up doing.
Fun.
Yeah. Yeah, I did like find somebody cute and go play Twister with them.
I found the bear.
Yeah.
Let's see. If you cannot tell, that was a bear being flung in the air. It was a quick second. But yeah, that bear was being flung in the air. It was huge. It wasn't like it wasn't like a small teddy bear.
No, it was
It
a
was
huge
like the
teddy bear.
length of a person. And
It
it just kept getting passed around and like thrown in like a mosh. Like,
it was great.
That's so funny. I just remember seeing that recently. I was looking through my old stuff, my old pictures, and I was like, the bear. It's like the bear. I have a video of the bear. I have a 3-minute video of us dancing at prom, like all of us.
That was
It's
such
crazy,
a fun night.
right?
Man. But yes, Twister quickly turns into sex. And then
No shit.
Yeah, really.
Strip
And
Twister.
then exactly. And then afterwards, Carrie and Seth are having pillow talk afterwards together, just hanging out. Sorry, I
Yeah.
said afterwards like 5 times. And so Carrie's just like, what do you think Dr. G would say about this? And I
Ew,
know
I
that's
don't want to talk
I
about my
know.
therapist after sex.
And Seth's just like, oh, bad patience, you know?
Yeah.
And Carrie tells him, I have to tell you, I'm not really into therapy. I think it's kind of bullshit. If I was in bed with somebody and they told me that, red flag. Huge red flag.
Yeah, I just do. I'm like, the majority of people do kind of feel that way though. So I'm like, well, if you're not susceptible to it, you're not, you know. Then I'm like, yeah.
I don't know. It would weird me out personally. But everybody's different. You know, some people might agree with that statement. And yeah, no, Seth says, I'm really messed up about women. Oh, no, I'm sorry. Carrie asks him why he's in therapy. To which he says, I'm really messed up about women. After I sleep with them, I completely lose interest.
You know what's funny? What if he just goes to therapy to meet women?
Because she's a celebrity therapist.
And if he loses interest after sex, then
He just
on
keeps
to the
going to
next.
therapy. Yeah. And he even says, I was going to her for a year and I got bored and then I met you. What she said is really sweet. And I'm like, I've never equated being bored and me coming around fixing that as like love. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. But internally, Carrie said, I believe this moment in therapy is called the breakthrough. And he asks her, why are you in therapy? She's like,
Yeah.
I picked the wrong men. And then she turns around and they don't say anything else. And the last
Imagine
scene,
dropping that bomb. If I heard a man tell me I completely lose interest of women after having sex after we just hooked up,
literally still in bed, haven't put your clothes back on yet.
I'd be like, is that including me? Or
I think that's implied. Like,
nah, I'm the
nah.
exception.
Oh,
I will
no.
always be the exception.
Oh, no.
That's how I feel. As a Leo, I cannot help. I
Dr.
cannot
G.
help but be like, what do you mean I'm not the love of your life? What do you mean I'm not bringing eternal sunshine into your world?
I don't understand. Hey.
You're screaming so loud it's cutting your audio. I can't even hear what you're saying. What did you say?
I was quoting that movie where she's like, why are you leaving?
It's still cutting. You're quoting Pearl. She's quoting.
I am.
She's quoting the scene from Pearl where she's like, "I didn't do anything wrong. I thought you liked me," but she's like screaming it.
Like, crazy eyes.
Yeah, I resonate with Pearl quite often. But she, you know, when you're like empathetically sound and you can like realize like when someone's energy's off, you know, that's what happens to her. She's like, "What happened? What's going on? There's something you're not telling me," you know, and then she loses her shit.
Yeah, when you obviously know something's wrong and the person's like, nothing's wrong, and you're like, I clearly see something's wrong. Why are you lying? Yeah.
She's so BPD coded also.
She is. But we love her.
I love Pearl. That murderous bitch.
We love her. But the next morning, after Carrie's breakthrough moment, She says that although she made some good points, I stopped seeing Dr. G immediately. I couldn't risk the humiliation of running into Seth in the waiting room. My friends totally understand. Granted, we never hear from her friends on this subject.
Yeah,
And I
she
guess
just
after the rebound, she didn't have to complain about it so much. But really, she really swung and missed on this episode, in my opinion. Like,
yeah.
she really could have had a lot of growth,
Yeah.
and she
But you have to
didn't.
be again,
Because,
like you have to
like,
be
also,
susceptible to
she
it.
had 2 other sessions. So, in total, we spent like maybe 10-15 minutes of one session in like where
Yeah.
we got to see and hear what happened.
Yeah.
But she had 2 hours and 45 minutes more of therapy, and she got nothing out of it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's upsetting. I don't know. I just wish,
Feels like a waste
'cause
of resources.
it really does. Because it's like, like we were talking about, therapy's not cheap,
Mm-mm.
And if you
Well, she
think
always
about
just say
it,
has no problem wasting money on things.
no, but therapy is too
Oh,
self-indulgent.
that's too self-indulgent.
But it's not too self-indulgent when it's to get a guy.
Whoo. Oh,
Sorry.
emotionally, this is a lot. No, I mean emotionally, it just shows this is a very this episode just is so reflective of Carrie's like bullshit.
Yeah. I just don't. And we see it later in the show when she finds somebody who is not picking up what she's putting down. They challenge her view of herself. She
Mhm.
obsesses over them and hunts them down. If you notice that. She can't handle when somebody doesn't view her the way that she views herself.
Mhm.
Like, and I just
Which
think that
is like
that's messed up.
insane.
Yeah. No, literally. And you'll see in the show, she has stalking habits. She
Oh,
does.
100%.
1,000%. Like, she
Yeah.
stalks people in this show. And it's specifically when she knows that they know that she's not that great of a person.
Yeah, or she fucked up.
Yeah, and they know about it.
Mhm.
And it's just,
Or she's trying to like convince herself that she's in the right or that she's absolved of sin. Like,
we will get there. There is a
we'll
very
get there.
famous scene in this show where she has this newspaper dress on, and I literally want to vomit every time I see it
I
on her
love
part.
the
But I'm
acting in that scene.
yeah.
But
we'll get there.
we'll get there. We'll
If
get
you
there.
know, you know. If you don't,
You
we'll
know, you
get
know.
there.
Yeah.
But that was honestly, yeah, I've been looking forward to this episode.
Yeah, this was season 2, episode 13, Games People Play, surrounded completely by the idea of games and relationships and games with yourself and games with other people, and a lot of therapy and a lot of self
Not enough
reflection.
therapy.
Not enough therapy. But yeah, this is a good one. This is, I mean, the episode right after Carrie and Big's breakup. So it is pretty heavy when it comes to like what the hell's going on in Carrie's head. Carrie's definitely the main kind of person in this episode, and I think that's why we are so frustrated with it. But it's a fun one. It's a good one. We have that little guest spot of Jon Bon Jovi and all that. So this is a good one. Hell yeah. So I'm glad we got through that one. I'm glad we're back. Taking any kind of break off from like the podcast posting schedule is like always so weird for us. Like I always get so kind of thrown off once I get back in. I'm like, oh God, like we got to get back in the groove of it, even if it's just been a week. But yeah, no, I'm glad we're back. We're excited to keep putting things out for you guys. Next episode, we will have our third guest broad. So we are very excited. We might possibly be dropping 2 episodes in a week again, just to kind of stay on a schedule. We'll see. Stick with us, guys. It will be very exciting, be very good. But yeah, next episode is season 2, episode 14, which is called The Fuck Buddy, right? So yeah, it's The Fuck Buddy. We will have our next guest broad, and it's going to be very exciting. I think we have one more for this season. We have one more guest broad for the season, and then we'll be wrapping up the guest broads for this season. And then we'll be hoping to have some more in the upcoming seasons. So, but yeah, super excited. So stick around with us. As
and
always.
if you want to be a guest broad, please let us know.
Yeah, let us know. I know I've been bringing on comics and stuff that's just kind of like felt like the vibe, you know, and for now, but yeah, if you're interested in you know, in doing the discourse with us, we would love to talk and see if you know, if you're game, let's do it. So let us know. But yeah, as always, guys, thank you so much for the support, for the patience, the love, everything you've given thus far. It's crazy how we're now here in November. We started it up in May. You know, it's crazy how time kind of flies with it. Every single time we're like just really happy and really like thankful, on brand for the month of November. We are very thankful for you guys. Next week is Thanksgiving. So yeah, and it's gonna be your birthday.
Yeah.
I'm so excited. You're like, yeah.
Yeah. Happy
But,
29th.
Hell yeah. I'm so excited. I'm so excited.
No.
But yeah, so thank you guys so much for sticking around, for listening. We will see you guys this week. We'll see you guys
See you very soon.
It's very soon and everything. But yeah, thank you guys so much. So bye guys.